Every week, they look at the tech and business world and turn let's take this offline into an episode. Updates, reviews, and the occasional interviews. Sounds smart? It's not. We just said it with conviction. A lot of smart people already do this. But these guys have a lot of opinions and barely any filters, which maybe should concern you or not. They seem nice. Anyway, this series comes from people who probably shouldn't be doing more streams, or at the very least, should have left some of their thoughts in a Slack thread. Unread by everyone. And now, this is Rob and Sudge asking for trouble!
Never gets old.
Good morning, everybody. We are joined today by Nisha. Thank you, Nisha, for joining us. This episode has been pushed back twice, but we're very glad that you're here.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right. Before we begin, welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is a special episode because Rob and I are going to talk about CSM. Now, for the listeners of the show, we don't usually talk a lot about very specific learning-focused activities. Rob, am I underselling ourselves? We talk a little bit about learning.
I think I learn in all of these, Sujit.
What you learn is something that is different. Like you learn, but like, do we justify ourselves to be part of community-led classes if somebody just looks at this episode and nothing else that you and I do, and just looks at this and says, why are these guys on community-led classes?
I think this one will justify it, Sujit. We did do breakdowns of what happened to team, and that could be construed as learning. But this is the first one where we've had someone like Nisha come on and focus on a specific topic to help us elucidate ourselves.
Yes. So this is our redemption episode, basically, Nisha. We are trying to gain some points people who are just the listeners of this episode. So Rob and I do a lot of other learning series as well. But this is one series where learning takes a little backstage, or at least we try to camouflage it in ways. So like we did a Team 26 recap, but we did it in Shakespearean pentameter.
Which was a lot of fun.
Oh, man. All right. I'm not going to be able to do that today, but I can definitely do it in plain English. So
yes, so that's the plan. The hope is that today we are going to talk specifically about service management, customer service management app from Atlassian, and we'll give you a minute to officially introduce yourself. We've got somewhere around 25 people online on YouTube, a couple more on LinkedIn, and some on Vertical. But to begin with, Nisha, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys for asking me to be here. Glad we got to meet in person at Team this year. And yeah, my role currently is product manager for CSM, customer service management. I have been at Atlassian for about 3.5 years. My background is data science, ML, and I've worked at a bunch of startups and then came to Atlassian and was on the customer support team at Atlassian on the enablement side. And I was actually like head of AI for customer support. So when I came into Atlassian, I built my team was building a lot of ML solutions for our internal support teams. And what we did over the 2.5 years I was there was we built AI as a system, and we were able to build like basically an agentic workforce for the support agents. And then also started working with Vincent, Edwin on the CSM side. And I was like, hey, like, we should be productizing this. They were like, hey, we are. There's a big need for external customer support, which is the big difference between JSM and CSM, right? We're both service management, but CSM is focused on external customer service. And so, I was able to partner with them and help out with be part of the GA launch last October, and work across the product for CSM because it's a new team. 0 to 1 product build within a big enterprise has been really fun. I get to wear a bunch of different hats from the go-to-market perspective as a PM, and also like focusing on a lot of the AI features So yeah, quick intro on my side.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Um,
So
yeah.
let me just break the ice and ask the most toughest question anybody has asked me whenever CSM comes into the picture. What else can you say when you say JSM versus CSM? Internal and external is the first thing everybody says. Tell us a little bit more so that we can say that, all right, apart from just internal and external, this is another key difference between JSM and CSM.
Yeah, I want to. So great question. I knew that's what your question was going to be when you started it that way. But I also want to say, like, it's not JSM versus CSM, right?
Yeah.
It is JSM and CSM. We are both part of the service collection umbrella for a reason. When you buy a license to the service collection, you get both JSM and CSM. So at one email address that has a license under service collection, you can actually access and create spaces for both. The biggest differentiator, in my opinion, is besides being created for external customer support, what that means is there's different needs that your help seekers may have, and there's different types of permissions and like knowledge that you'd want to display to those external help seekers than your internal customers, right? So it is definitely like a plus and important to have that ring fenced. So not necessarily have all your data potentially available that for internal, but then also might be leaked to external. The second, the biggest like key area that CSM is focusing as an app is that we are an AI native customer experience product. So let's not even say customer service. What we're our aim is to improve overall customer experience with this product. We want to be able to enable your customers to have the most seamless experience when they have an issue, right? And we actually like the goal of where we're going is we want to be able to proactively approach you before you have that experience in product. And there's many different features of CSM, but those are some of the ways that we differentiate from JSM, where as most of these users are like people live and JSM users know, the key way for a customer to create a request is to go to a page and then choose the form, right? We don't want that friction. Like we want to be able to, and like that's a good way to do that internally. Like you don't need to necessarily have that next level of like experience for your internal service requests. We just want to kind of get to the point. For CSM, we want to make it not only support smoother, but like the product experience smoother. So we want to be able to, like, there's an embedded widget. We want to be able to approach the customer in the app. And I have some more on that, like that we've actually dog-fooded internal to Atlassian and found some really great success stories that I can go into, but I'll pause there because this is a question we get asked all the time too.
I like the focus. I first learned about CSM when one of my students from my online learning said, "Hey, Rob, I took this course on JSM and this feature's just gone." And I was like, "Oh, there's this new product. That's cool. Sorry you had that experience." But like, and it's interesting to see that distinction, as you're saying, like internal and external, but these products work together, right? It's not one is replacing the other or one is different. It's part of the same collection. It's intended to give you both sides of that so you can handle both of these groups. And to your point, we handle them in different ways, or we think through how do we support an external customer slightly differently than someone at the organization.
Yes.
Right. But like, have you experimented and have you tried or gotten any requests for internal customers to use CSM?
We have gotten requests of, can we use this for internal customers as well? And we have said, I think you should use JSM because there are specific features there, like incident management and more featured around those, like things that might happen internal to a customer and not external. So we, that's the split. Like maybe we'll learn more as we grow. But right now we feel very we feel high conviction that there is like a separated line between what external customer experience and support needs than what internal service management is.
I mean, at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is it's still Jira platform, right? Like it doesn't need to have that differentiation if you're on strategy collection, because a customer doesn't care, or your end user doesn't care whether they are accessing it via CSM or GSM, as long as their problem is getting solved.
Yeah.
It's the people who are setting it up for them. It's this question comes into picture whether you want to do it like that or not.
Well, it's the
But
features, right? Like,
right.
sure, it's at the end of everything, it goes into, like, Jira is the foundational platform where the tickets are created, but CSM has very differentiated features than JSM, and back and forth. So, like, even as a customer, you might not care what product the company is using that you're like getting help with. I don't care when I'm going to ask for support. I just want my query answered, right? But the way it's responded to will be different based on the product the company decides to use. So there is still like that differentiation.
Like, thinking through that, we meaning like I've used Jira Service Management quite a bit. We're stuck in that concept of how it works. How do you see companies like unfreezing, shifting, and refreezing their approach to these two separate products? Like, how do we help groups that are using JSM go, hey, there's a CSM thing, here's when you use it?
I think like that's a really great question. And what I've been trying to push customers towards is this is not like a copy paste of JSM. Like the idea isn't like, oh, like, okay, so this is for external support. Now we just have to take everything we have in JSM and just shove it into CSM. Like the idea is let's rethink the way you're building this. We want to simplify what your support agents have to do, right? Like we want to simplify the configuration. We want to rethink the way that information is brought to your customers using AI. And there's a lot of AI capabilities. I work very closely with the AI quality MLng team. Like the idea is like that, right? Like what I've seen JSM users do is like, hey, like this one very like specific feature doesn't exist in CSM. How do I get it? And so like, and then what I'll say is, hey, like what is the problem you're trying to solve? Let's start there versus like why doesn't this feature exist? Because that feature is usually like, I don't know, 4 steps down from the actual problem, and they might not even need it, right? Like maybe they're just so used to using it, and it's like become this like convoluted setup and like automations and this and that. Like there's automations that we probably don't need because of what AI takes on. So like macros, like maybe there's a really helpful, but maybe there's a different way that we're approaching it. So I think like what I tell you to your question is go in with an open mind and really try to like embrace CSM. Like we have built this new onboarding flow. We've built a lot of tooling to help people get set up. So just like go in with an open mind and try to understand it from like fresh eyes, which is hard with Atlassian. I get it. Like people are embedded in Atlassian and the way things work, and people really know Jira, and it's like that's a great thing about our company, but also like we've definitely seen the challenge of bringing people onto like a new way of thinking about a product.
I like that comment too around, and I see this a lot in systems. My background's in IT project management. Like, you want me to do this? Why?
Yeah.
What's the problem? What's the source? And that's just a general, I feel weakness in humans. We want the thing. We don't want to understand why we need the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. So let me also bring you a little towards Team 26. So our audience would know we've spoken a lot about Team 26. We actually started this series as a road to Team 26, and we had a lot of fun with it. And then at Team we did a lot of live streams, and now post Teams we're still in Team 26 fever. I guess we might be until Barcelona, but one thing that caught my eye during that keynote, the service collection keynote specifically, was the AI to human handoff, where they were talking about the omni-channel support. And in the keynote, there was this bit where a video was shown where a customer was seamlessly moving from a WhatsApp conversation to a voice call to a support to an external call. And then like all of it was very like AI and human, seamlessly talking to each other and understanding context with each other and trying to help each other. First question, like, what kind of an ideal scenario do you think this? Because I don't think, hey, I need help with the printer setup is an ideal candidate for this question, right? Like, what kind of questions like Atlassian might have figured out that, hey, these need much stronger support. That's why this feature was, in the prototype and then now live. And what do you think about like human and AI handoff, and in which direction do you see it going?
Yeah, no, good questions. I don't think there's like we didn't come to the table with like, hey, this is the question that's going to spur all of these different channels. I think it's just the fact that we are horizontal across many domains, and the complexities change based off of domain. And so like, as you see, some of our competitors in the space also have similar features. So like based off of like the more complex questions, which might need admin and like administrative help, and then needs to get passed to a billing department. I mean, we've all been on calls, right? Where they're like, oh, sorry, we have to pass you to this department. Oh, sorry, we have to pass you to that department. And depending on the channel which each of these departments are available, then I would see that different channels are easily surfaced to those specific people in the department, so the customer doesn't have to wait. So that's like the omni-channel piece. Any other questions there? Or
but like, so I understand the omni-channel, but like when we specifically talk about the human AI handoff, right? Like, how do you stop that the human is not just an escalation layer? Like, how do you
I
make
was gonna
AI
get there.
that
I just
good?
wanted to talk about the omni, like because we don't have a specific question was my point there, right? Like we were just thinking about the different various levels of complexity with the human AI interaction. I think the way to think about it is that there's always going to be domain expertise needed. Even as AI effectively gets smarter and better, there's going to be a piece where there's like subject matter expert needed, and just more complex questions where that human touch is needed. And so I think the way to think about it isn't just like AI automates everything and only in the most severe cases do humans get involved. I think it's more like, how are a human and agents collaborating? So once again, like our line here is like, it's not human versus AI, it's human and AI. And how do we provide that interface? And that's actually something that I'm working on closely for the next quarter, is like, how do we build that like into once a ticket comes in, right? Because that's when the human actually gets involved. There's going to be escalations because of the complexity of the ticket. There's also going to be escalations because people don't feel comfortable talking to AI. And how can we then bring AI into a support side where the human is actually working with their coworker, but that coworker is an AI agent? And that's like how I think we think about it. We think about them as coworkers. That is the future of work, right? Like AI is going to become one of my coworkers. It's not going to be a thing I use.
Right. Yeah, the AI teammate thing, I think Atlassian was very heavy on it since a couple of years now.
I've been thinking about that a lot, like how I interact with AI, and I think back to like when the internet became a thing. Like I grew up with it, right? Like it wasn't there when I was a kid. Watching my parents try and figure it out, it was like this new foreign thing, and they eventually internalized it. I feel like that's me with AI. Like I acknowledge it's a tool I am comfortable using, but it's still like, how do I use an agent? I'm very curious in like 5 years, in next year, when my kids are in high school, how will they interact with it? And will they get over that hurdle of, oh, I'm talking to a machine, or, oh no, this is just a support agent. I know it's an AI, but that's fine. I can still interact with it the same way I would a human. Right now, I don't. I know it's AI, so I behave differently just because of that.
But I think that's our goal too, is to help mitigate that even with people like now, right? Not the generation that is growing up always using AI, but the generation that has just been introduced to AI, where it's not like a side chatbot, but it's part of your workflow. So like once you get used to like being able to pass back, it's just like I think it's a learning curve, but also it doesn't have to be necessarily a learning curve of how to use AI, because we should build the AI so well that like you're just seamlessly passing back and forth. And it's actually it's executing on tasks. It's doing the things that you need it to do. And then it's passing back to you where it needs your input. And that's like where the end state, I think, where then it becomes easier to work with it and you don't think about it as like a side AI thing.
Yeah. Is that just building trust with people, or is there something else we do?
I think it's like improving the process. Like, I mean, from a product standpoint, from an internal, like from a building standpoint, I think it's like, how do we make it more seamless where we're like, we're orchestrating skills without like the customer actually thinking about what they need. Like we're asking for less input from the person, and like we're actually thinking about what that might be while we're building the system on our side. From like a customer standpoint, or from your perspective, I think it is definitely a trust thing. One, like I think that's why also like AI on the support side is super important for companies to embrace CSM, because they'd want to see that it's working well for their teams to like become more efficient before like enabling it, like with their customers. So I think it's like first a trust like gaining exercise, and then it's also just like building that seamless workflow with them.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's something I think through a lot. How do we build the trust for AI so folks aren't like, ooh, AI?
Yeah. I mean, it has to like do a better job too, right? Like there's a lot of things that like you can build it, you can use AI all the time and it's like pretty bad. So like, I think it's also like, don't just like push AI into everything. Like there's other ways of building where we're not like the way we build isn't like, we're not just using like non-deterministic equals LLM and AI, right? So like maybe there's like other ways where like there's deterministic solutions that like mix into the non-deterministic solutions where you're not just getting like AI decisions for every single thing, because like that just like adds to the percentage of like potential hallucinations and confusion and then like therefore distrust. So
I see this when I do Rovo trainings in like Jira or Confluence, and people just flood it with agents, and then everyone says, "Oh, it doesn't work." I'm like, well, you just made all these agents that aren't planned out and aren't really prompted and instructed well, so of course it's not going to work.
Too many toddlers at work together, Rob.
I only have 2 toddlers at work with me.
No, I'm talking about the agents.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I think that's also like, but that's a good point, right? Like we forget that AI is like, what is AGI is like probably at the age of a 2-year-old right now. So you can't just be like, hey, do all of these things for me and understand it. So.
Yep. Okay, taking the conversation a little deeper, Nisha. So when we talk about service management, the customer is at the heart of it, right? CSM has the word customer in it now. Both Rob and I come from an era of JSD. So we've gone from JSD to JSM, and now we're talking about CSM. In this evolution, what's the metric when it comes to talking about customer that you see shifting? From the evolution of where it was just a layer on sitting on top of Jira as an external portal to a place where AI became very heavily involved in JSM, and now CSM where AI human handoff is so seamless. What's the change in metric that you see for a service management team that they should focus on when they are working in a tool like CSM?
I mean, I think it's what is like success for the company. Why did they decide to use CSM? I would like most of these customer service teams are going to use CSM to increase their cost savings, right? Because support's most likely a cost center. And so then if you look at the metric, it's going to be something around efficiency and cost savings. And how do you get there? It's going to be resolutions. So how much is the AI resolving on the help seeker side, and improvement in efficiency on the support agent side. So what is like the improvement in total time to resolution, for example? And when you combine those together, I think it becomes like AI to resolution, like total time to resolution. So like it could be resolved totally by the AI. It could be resolved after handoff to a customer agent. But at the end of the day, we should be improving that overall timeline, whether it's like just resolved with AI or whether it's resolved like through the pipeline. And that's like that also then.
Sorry, is that a metric that is available now, that whether this was resolved by AI or a human interaction came into picture?
Mm-hmm. It's available on the reporting side. So there's a few simple dashboards. We are definitely fleshing that out now. But there is one dashboard that shows AI containment rate, which is simply saying like all of these tickets were deflected. And the reason, and then there's also resolution rate, right? So resolution rate accounts for all the tickets that came in and that didn't get like all the queries that came in and there was no ticket created, and LLM judge marked it as resolved. The differentiator there is that like AI containment, it could be that the person interacted with AI and then just like didn't create a ticket but didn't get the resolution, right? So we want to be clear on like this many people came in and interacted and just went away, and then out of those like this many were resolved. But based off of that, and then like the math that your company does for cost, you could most likely calculate like what is that savings number.
That's awesome. I don't think I've seen that report, but definitely something that Rob, you and I should check that out.
We should, and
Yes,
that's
it's in the studio. So like if you go into studio to create your AI agent, there's a reporting section there as well. I know there's reporting on just in the spaces and on the ticketing side, but then you have to go into studio and then look at reporting. And there's a different reporting tab there. We're working on converging them, so you just have one source of truth.
Got it. Rob, you were saying something?
just an acknowledgement of where the report was hiding.
Yeah.
Okay. I had one more question. So one more thing, I'm going to bring it back to omni-channel support, because when I was listening to the keynote, this might be me because I've not tried the voice chat specifically, but like, for example, how does it work in tandem with Loom, or is there some other feature that's helping the agent behind the scene? Because when I think of a voice conversation that I'm having with you right now, the context being captured correctly for the next agent who might get into picture if I'm not available or if there's an escalation, how does that get translated? Because I understand
the transcript will get
yeah.
The transcript gets captured, right? So just like in any voice AI tool, like if you go and have a conversation with Claude, that entire transcript is transcribed as you talk. So a similar system for our voice AI. By the way, voice AI is not live right now. That was a demo for team. It's on our roadmap for this next half. So right now our omni-channel consists of email, support site, embedded widget, and chat, which just released. So chat has been live chat has been released in beta, but voice and WhatsApp are not currently available.
Nice. That's good to know.
So on that vein, WhatsApp, is your plan for general SMS or just sticking to the WhatsApp side of the house?
For general SMS, as far as I know, but I'm not as close to that work stream or like the plans. I think we have a lot of LATAM customers that use WhatsApp too. So I think we just want to make sure all the channels are open for all our different geos.
Yeah, so someone who's
heavy in APAC.
Someone who shall not be named shamed me into starting a WhatsApp community because so many people use it.
Yeah, I know it is heavy in APAC. You're right.
Yep. You've got fans in APAC, Rob. You should take care of your fans in APAC. Not everybody in India uses Discord. People are on WhatsApp.
I have a WhatsApp community now. Nisha, my fans and community bully me into setting things up. So I have a Discord platform because someone yelled at me. I have WhatsApp because Sajit yelled at me.
Nice.
Everywhere. We just have too many platforms where people yell at Rob.
Apparently.
Yep.
That's the idea.
Sounds fun.
All right. Nisha, what else is on the roadmap? So you just told us about WhatsApp and voice, which we heard a little bit about at Team 26 as well. What else is on the roadmap? If something that you can tell us.
I don't want to, I just like, as we were talking about this podcast, I realized I've not gone through any official channels. So I think what's on the roadmap will come out when it's ready to come out. I think what you saw at Team is what we're ready to tell the public right now. And then everything else, like we need to just make sure we're all aligned internally before telling large audiences like your fans, apparently. So yeah.
No, there are like, again, bringing it back to that one keynote, because there are so many things to unpack. Now, some of them might not be CSM specific. So I know you might not be the perfect person to ask those questions, but like, for example, the incident prevention center, right? That's like 100% futuristic AI where you're seeing it on screens and you're swiping, oh, this might become an issue, those kind of things, how that will interact. So it still says coming soon. When those get out, I am very interested in seeing how those will talk to the agent side of things and how it will impact the customer end. Because I think service keynote had the biggest number of announcements in terms of features.
I think like that is the agent side of things though. So like even as the little knowledge I have of the Incident Keynote Center, even from what you described, like an agent isn't necessarily a chatbot or something that you can interact with. Like it is also a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. I mean, I know you know this, but just to like be repetitive for the audience as well. Like I think we also need to broaden what, like, I think when AI came out, like, I mean, like in its bang with ChatGPT, it just became this thing where like people felt like AI is like a chatbot, but it's so much more. And when we say agents, it could be something like that is like taking in requests, and these agents are communicating with each other, like a team of people that you don't see, right? But it's a team of agents. So in saying that, like in that incident report center, it's most likely going to be that on the back end, right? And so like those agents will then communicate with like the other agents that are being set up.
Sure.
We just don't, it's not necessarily something the customer sees.
Sure.
As you mentioned, like AI is more than a chatbot. I think that's the problem I have with it. Again, growing up, my experience, and I sometimes trip up in training and say, "Oh, the chatbot, it's a bot." Like, no, it's not. It's something more, and that limits me when I use these tools. It limits how I think about them and then how I utilize them. I guess any thoughts on how to help dummies like me break that mental crutch?
I think it's like just the way that it's been advertised, right? So I don't know if it's like, first of all, not dummies. I don't know if it's like helping people break that crutch versus enabling people to interact differently with like agents as a workforce. So I think it's also like on the builders of the AI to be able to build an experience that is enabling customers like you to be able to interact with a platform where you feel like you see the difference. Chatbots, you feel like AI is a chatbot because that's all people have been releasing, is like point solutions that are chatbots for like random little things. And that's where like I think the next like 5 years, maybe not even 5, 2 years, things are going to become really different. Where like in 2 years, like we have this conversation again, you'll feel like you are able to conceptualize working with agents. I just don't think like anyone's done it really well yet. So hopefully we can be, like we can help bring that to customers as Atlassian. I know we're thinking about that across all our products, and we have the setup to do so, right? Because we can enable customers across so many of our products. But I do think that's like what's coming to the workforce in the next few years.
Nice. I'm gonna ask a philosophical question, so you can feel free to just push it a little on the side, or maybe Rob. Like, but one thing that I always think of AI, and any AI expert I speak to, I ask them, I ask their take on this. So with AI, smarter answers, happier customers, but also smaller teams, right? So yes, cost savings, but do you see with the trajectory that AI has shown, specifically in service, do you think in the ecosystem, the service engineer or whoever is a support person, their responsibilities will shrink, and that entire section of jobs will go down a little? Or do you think that, like, for example, I'm at heart a Jira admin doesn't do today what it used to do 5 years ago. We've had to evolve. We've had to become consultants. We've had to wear multiple hats. I'm assuming a support person has to do similar kind of stuff, but never working in support, my brain probably stops me from thinking what that could be. So if you could just, shine a little light on it.
It's not going to shrink. It's going to change and evolve. And that a person that used to have to do, 4 specific tasks a day multiple times is now going to manage the workforce that does 4 specific tasks. But that workforce is now going to be doing 100 of those tasks, and they're going to have to be improving them so it becomes almost like they're coaching with their expertise versus actually manually doing tasks that maybe were tedious and unnecessary. So I think it actually amplifies, experts in a way that they're actually able to like to do the thing that they really care about more. I mean, like as a PM, AI changes the way I work, right? Like before I had to like wait for my designers and engineers to be able to build. Today I can go build by myself. I like want to work. I still have to work with the team. I need them. But there's like more that we can do all together effectively. And I think that's a similar thing for every domain, not just support. Like it just have to be open to changing the way we think about working, not get scared that it's going to shrink or take away my job. I think the people that live in that fear will end up like self-fulfilling prophecy. But like I think that it definitely can help us all. and like it can help us like take on things that we didn't think we could do before because of like time or effort. So I think like I mean, like obviously I'm an AI enthusiast, but I think there's a lot that can be, you can rethink things instead of getting like fearful of them.
Rob, are you an AI? Let me just ask you right now because of this question. The AI has to identify itself, right? Are you an AI?
This mandate has not been enforced, so if I am, I don't have to answer. I put that in chat because Justin Racklin was joking.
Yeah.
It's like in 2 years we could be chatting with Nisha, and we don't know it's an AI avatar. Folks may have heard of the 3 laws of robotics from Asimov, like they cannot cause direct harm to humans or through inaction allow humans to come to harm, etc. There have been extensions of that. One of the extensions of that is AI must identify itself as being artificial. And this, I think, is one of the things I run into. Sometimes I'll be online and I'll put in a request for help through Geico or whatever, and I get a response, and I almost immediately say, "Are you an AI system?" just to see what it says back. But it's ambiguous. Like I don't know, and I think that goes back to the start of this. We were talking about as people interact with it, they change how they interact with it, knowing it's AI.
Yeah.
But like right now, I just don't know sometimes, and I assume, maybe wrongly, that a lot of these interactions are artificial, and that then changes my mindset. If I'm talking to a human, I think one way. If I think I'm talking to a machine, even if I'm not, it changes how I interact with them, which probably isn't the best thing. But if we had this standard of it's always saying, you're talking to our AI chatbot named Jimmy. Oh, hey, Jimmy, AI chatbot, that structures it in a way that I can approach it more easily. We don't have that right now, though, which always gives me pause when I interact with, a system. Is it a human? Is it not? I can't tell.
That's definitely something that I've struggled with as well, and I very forcefully try to talk to AI the way I would talk to a human, and that takes a lot of time at times. Like I've seen myself edit my apostrophes in a conversation with Claude, and I was like, I don't need to do that. It's smart enough to understand it, but I still do it because then what happens is I'm writing an email to a colleague and I would not autocorrect, some of those things. So yeah, I mean, it's somewhere in between. I really like this one comment that Rosanna Cassili wrote on the chat. Like, as a Jira admin, AI is my co-pilot. That's such a happy thought, right, Rob?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just thinking about how AI is helping.
Well, and that mindset of it's, to your point, Nisha, like it's assisting you. It's taking some of that stuff away. I don't want to go answer 1,000 support requests if I don't have to. I want to focus on improving the process, making the better product. And that's the lens I think through when I'm training this stuff. And I tell people, like, it's not going to replace what you do. It's going to take away the stuff to allow you to focus on what you want to do. And I can see a lot of people, like, that's hard to decouple sometimes. My job is to answer support requests. The tool is now doing that. What's going to happen to my job? It'll shift. You'll be focusing on other things. Yeah.
Nice.
Why waste time, say lot word when few word do trick?
Yeah, that's
you okay,
that's a deep cut. If anybody can, if anybody gets it, then you're a deep fan of a TV show, but like, not everybody might know it. That's okay.
What TV show?
That's an Office joke.
It's
There's
Office,
a character called Kevin.
I mean, I know The Office. I just don't memorize lines. I'm not one of those.
Oh yeah. No, that's
one of my favorite
show.
shows. Yeah.
Yeah, it just gets played in my house. I've done at least 30 reruns, at least.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's this one episode where Kevin, one of the accountants, starts cutting out words and he starts talking like this.
Why yeah, I think I do remember this. Words? Yes.
Yeah. So kind of like Mino like Portal. So
yeah.
That's how you can start talking to an agent. Support hard, make AI less hard. Those kind of things. All right, perfect. Okay, good conversation. What else? What else, Rob? Anything else that you wanna ask Nisha? We have 4 more minutes, 3 more minutes now.
I'm mostly curious how groups will use this. Again, Nisha, I work by myself in this room by myself. I'm curious what some of the larger groups, if you can share how they've been adopting it and how their teams have been leveraging it and like the feedback they've been getting. Like, you have this amazing tool that is included in the service collection. Like, you have it. How are groups approaching it and able to I'll use like operationalize it, like feed it into their general flow? And what does that look like?
How are they? Wait, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh, sorry. How does a large group, say like an enterprise scale, thousands
Yeah.
of workers, hundreds of thousands of requests, how have they been adopting this tool? And like, what does that success look like? Or
I think it's, so I guess I'm kind of like, how are they adopting the tool? Like, how are they migrating? Like, there's like a few components, right? So a large enterprise most likely already has a customer service, like external customer service system. They might be using JSM for external customer support. They can easily migrate over. They might be using one of our competitors, which we want to help them. So like, for example, Loom. We acquired Loom, Atlassian acquired Loom, and they were on Zendesk. And that was a success story of how did we get Loom from Zendesk into CSM. It took around 3 months to be able to migrate them. And this was before CSM was GA. So I think like there's a migration component, and then there's just like the rest of it is just getting them set up just like you would a small company that just immediately comes on, right? So there's probably, we're working with a bunch of these larger enterprises. So if you are one of them and you're on the call, like I can share my information in the chat. And you can reach out to me. I'm one of the PMs that can definitely help get you in touch with the right people. I think there is some like, more like white labeling and just trying to understand what we need to do to get them on board since we're still so new. But ideally, like eventually it just becomes like a success manager that is able to help bring them on, or you go through a partner.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we're definitely enabling our partners as well as you roll this out. So we've been having like partner sessions where we're really getting them up to speed. I was in the UK last 2 weeks ago and did like a hands-on lab with a bunch of partners. And so like they were able to ask questions, a lot of the questions that I've seen in the comments about forums and setting things up and AI agents. So and then they can actually, make sure that they're working with customers as they come in.
Nice.
Right on.
Awesome. We're just coming up on time. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nisha. There are some questions that we did not speak much about in the chat, so Rob and I will pick them up next time. Those were not specifically CSM questions, that's why we didn't ask them. But there were some of them were JSM questions, and some of them we can definitely cover in our future sessions. But if you have a CSM specific question, you can still drop that in the comment in the video, and we can make sure that we ask Nisha and get that answer back to you.
Yep. Thank you guys for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody, and have a good rest of the week.
Have a great Friday. If you're in the US, enjoy Juneteenth.
Yeah. Happy Juneteenth. All right.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Every week, they look at the tech and business world and turn let's take this offline into an episode. Updates, reviews, and the occasional interviews. Sounds smart? It's not. We just said it with conviction. A lot of smart people already do this. But these guys have a lot of opinions and barely any filters, which maybe should concern you, or not. They seem nice. Anyway, this series comes from people who probably shouldn't be doing more streams, or at the very least, should have left some of their thoughts in a Slack thread. Unread by everyone. And now, this is Rob and Sudge asking for trouble!